All right. Welcome, college baseball fans, specifically ACC fans, specifically Duke fans. Hopefully, I'm joined by two-time ACC champion Chad Knight. Chad, congratulations on the ACC championship. How does it feel?
I mean, it's got a nice ring to a two-time ACC champion, but I mean, I was talking with some friends and some teammates yesterday. I feel like you can count the amount of times you get the dog pile in your life on your hands. So, I mean, yesterday was such an incredible moment, something I'm going to remember the rest of my life, and something that this team's going to cherish forever.
Yeah, it was such a fun event to cover. It's crazy that we were just talking before the show. We had a show last week. It doesn't feel like we just did a show a week ago. It feels like it's been a couple of weeks at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of baseball played and a lot's happened in the last 7 days. So a lot of exciting things, though. So
Oh yeah. So before we get into some of Duke stuff, you and I were texting during this marathon, not quite marathon of a game, but close to it on Friday night. Wake Forest, UNC at standing room only. I mean, all the stars showed up. You said something to me about it being one of the best live games you've seen in person.
definitely, I mean, I think it's right up there, top one or top two or top three baseball games I've ever seen, college, pro, any level, really. It was a dominant performance by Burns. I think he had like 15 strikeouts. Kurtz had an unreal game, the game tying hit and the go-ahead homer. No doubter, opposite field. You can't really say that a lot of opposite field homers are no doubters. Honeycutt, played amazing. Clearly had a good day in center field. Made a bunch of really good plays, and he and Kurtz hit had the same exact hit, the game tying doubles, both at the exact same spot in the ballpark. So really competitive game. I mean, at about like the 5 hour mark, a bunch of us were like, please make this game end so we can go home. But as a baseball fan, it was a lot of fun to watch, and that game really could have gone either way.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were texting me if you had gone back to the hotel at some point to keep watching, or if you were still in the ballpark, because I knew you guys had your game. You luckily on the Saturday for you guys was a 5 o'clock start rather than the 1 o'clock, which is unfortunate for Wake Forest because they played deep into the night and then had to turn around. But yeah, and the other thing, I mean, the play that for me was one of the most underrated things, and Darren Vaught pointed out when we were talking the next day before the Wake Forest game, but the Nick Kurtz play, defensive play was Jeter-esque almost from when the play against Oakland back in the early 2000s, because Nick Kurtz, normally the first baseman's not anywhere near that play. He was just trying to find somewhere to go when that throw went errant to back it up, and then he makes a perfect throw on D'Onofrio. A lot of UNC fans are criticizing D'Onofrio's decision there, but I think 9 times out of 10 he's going to make it to third.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible first baseman. I mean, he can clearly hit, but he's also a really, really good defender. I don't think there's that many first basemen that have the awareness or the athleticism to really make that play. But no, it was funny. I mean, the game went for so long. A lot of guys had started to leave and go back to the hotel. And then once it went to extras, some guys actually came back to the game to watch then. So we held their seats. But, I mean, it was an incredible atmosphere, too. It was jam-packed, like you said, standing room only. I mean, that was definitely one of the coolest college baseball atmospheres I've ever, not going to say been a part of, but have seen live for sure.
Yeah, and that's where the wristband comes in handy, that they can come back, because if they were paying ticket members, they wouldn't be able to come back to the game. So, but it was unbelievable, because I mean, Chase Burns was electric, and UNC couldn't touch him. I mean, I've seen Chase Burns live 4 times. I've watched him on TV a bunch more times, but I don't think I've seen guys chase out of the zone as much as I saw UNC did. It seemed like his slider, they just could not pick it up out of his hand at all.
Yeah, it's gross. I mean, he's going to be a first rounder and probably a big leaguer at some point in his life, and probably a dominant one too. So, I mean, I imagine he's going to give big leaguers trouble, and that means he's going to give college kids trouble too.
Yeah, it was really funny. Some of the UNC fans, they were checking the velocity, and I think early in the first inning, he'd go like 99, 83, 99, 87, and it's just like, what are you supposed to do with that?
I mean, hope that he throws 4 balls, I guess.
Yeah, and I think he only had the 1 walk, so that would not have been a good call. Although some of those sliders, if they don't chase, but the problem is they don't know they were sliders out of the hand, and they don't know they're out of the zone out of the hand. So it was just, I think that might have been one of the best starts I've seen him throw. Because again, I haven't seen him get that many guys to chase like that. He's had better numbers, I think, but like,
Yeah, and Andy did it against UNC in a de
who,
facto quarterfinal game in the ACC tournament. I think the entire environment and stakes, surely added to the, how impressive that performance was. And the crazy part is, I feel like that's the part of the game that doesn't really get talked about much. I feel like people are going to remember, the Kurtz game tying double and the Kurtz go ahead home run. You're not going to talk about the play that Merrick Houston made to, get out of the
the
11th 10th inning or the 11th inning when he made a throw on the run and the catcher picked it, get the guy out when UNC had bases loaded, 1 out. I was saying, God, like you're a suicide squeeze away from winning the game. I thought they were going to take a shot, but like I said, that game really could have gone any way, really. Either team could have won, and I'm just glad I got to watch it in person.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to talk to you about it being a baseball mind and not having to, it didn't involve your team, so it's a little bit easier to, I think, analyze a bit. But, if you're a college baseball fan, that's the one you're trying to sell to people. That's the kind of game you're trying to sell to people who you're trying to convince to watch college baseball, right? Because we mentioned it in our text together. All the stars showed up because we just talked about Chase Burns. Honeycutt was awesome. Kurtz was awesome. Michael Massey ended up closing out the game at the end. So, it was just unbelievable.
A bunch of future big leaguers were on that field for sure. Fans definitely got, their ticket was worth the price of admission.
100%. How many games did you guys end up going to watch over the course of the week? Because
two or three. I was at that one. I was at the Miami versus Louisville one, and then I'm trying to remember one more, if there was one more. That might have been the only other one we went to, but we played in 4 of them, and there were 4 good games.
I know that's the other thing is like also you want to have that balance of relaxing and not thinking about baseball for a little bit to like recharge because it's again a short week, and there's a lot of baseball, and you guys also need to eat and sleep. And it sounds like the hotel was pretty nice. I think I asked Chuck if you were coming the day that I saw you, and Chuck said, I think he's staying in. The hotel's really nice. So,
yeah, when you're in those elimination games, or when you're in that tournament style where you can get eliminated if you lose, where it's really single elimination. The amount of emotional equity that you kind of dispense throughout the game it's exhausting. So definitely got to rest up.
Yeah, I think it was, who was I watching when I went up there? Because I saw it was Wednesday before I saw you, because Chuck was sitting there with Pollard and ET and a couple of guys, and I just saw him there, and I just was like, you can't transfer mid-game and pitch for one of these 2 teams, right? I know you're getting antsy, so he laughed at that, but no, he's just a happy guy, so I like saying hi to him. So, but anyway, lot of great moments for Duke in this tournament. You guys start out going down 5-0 against Virginia Tech, and that was, that had to be a bit of a gut punch.
Definitely. When you're down by 5 runs, it's never a good feeling. But I think the cool thing is if you were in our dugout or if you go back and rewatch that game, every single person on our team was, super calm and super confident too. Like we've scored 5, 6, 7, sometimes even 10 runs in an inning before. So I think we knew over the course of the next, 5, 6 innings, we had a pretty good chance to come back. So we all kept our cool, and that was a really cool game. Watching Zach hit that grand slam was, I think it was that game, he hit 2 home runs that game.
Yeah, so I saw the first one. I'm getting excited because I've got the backyard baseball, his backyard baseball picture ready to roll. I'm like, friend of the program. And then it was funny. I went to the bathroom for the second one, and then I was talking to Shock. But when the second one happened, I look at my phone before I get back, and I'm like, somebody had just tweeted me in capital letters, Zach Morris. And I'm like, what? I missed his second home run. And he was a hot commodity this week on the interview circuit.
Yeah, I'm super thrilled for him. He was telling me this is his first time really getting the chance to play postseason baseball. And now he's going to have an opportunity to play in the regional too. But he had such an incredible week. We really don't win this tournament without him. And he's my roommate too. So I love him to death. He's been a great friend. He's a great human being. And he's so humble about it too. And it's really, really fun to watch him out in the field. And, I know he just got all ACC honors, which was really well deserving. And he certainly showed why this week.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Funny story. So I got to vote on the all tournament team, And as I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, I'm really confident about Zach and Chuck, Daniel Couve of Miami, who had a monster week. I'm like trying to think through it. And then I actually get the ballot. And the ballot's one of the worst ones I've ever seen because I could have voted for you in every position if I'd wanted to, Chad, by the way. So they had
I would have appreciated that, Monty.
Yeah. Well, if I got to vote after the 9th inning, I might have done it. But I had to. They had it in alphabetical order by first name, not last name. That was a fun little wrinkle.
Oh,
so
all the way down.
So by the time I voted, I had forgotten Zach.
Oh no!
So I run up because like somebody else sent me theirs, and I saw Zach's name, and I went, oh, expletive, and ran up to one of the tournament. Was like, can you please delete my ballot? I need to do a new one. So this poor woman from the ACC was trying to figure out how to cancel my ballot so I could go back and vote for Zach because I'm planning on sharing this on social media, and I don't want Zach to see that I didn't vote for him. I don't want you to see I didn't vote for him. So because
we say what second baseman you did vote for?
Drew Farreau, who had I think he ended up winning but my ballot was canceled, so my vote did go to Zach.
Okay.
So I was surprised he didn't get it. I know Drew Farreau had a great week, but I mean 3 home runs.
Yeah, and he played incredible defense too. If you go back and watch a lot of those games, a lot of those plays will go unnoticed, but in the heat of the moment, he made some web gems for us, and I know it certainly didn't go unnoticed on our part. Yeah,
the players, the Duke players I voted for, Alex Stone, obviously with the big hit against Miami, Zach. I voted for Chase Cruson. I thought he had the defensive plays he made. I think he made 3 separate defensive plays, 2 outfield assists, and then a diving play. He also was really good at the plate, so I thought he was a bit overlooked in the outfield. Obviously, Devin Obie, who won the MVP, and then I voted for Chuck as a pitcher. Jamie Arnold was my other pitcher, and yeah, it was just a monster performance by Duke. I was surprised you guys didn't actually get more guys on the all-tournament team, considering the offense you guys put out. But
yeah, I mean, if I was the one voting, I'd vote for all 9 guys that we put on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you guys come back from down 5 over Virginia Tech. You come back very quickly, I believe, and then ultimately win pretty big. I think I want to say 12-7 or something like that. It was so long ago. So you guys get that one out of the way, and then all of a sudden, the big one, NC State, right? This is in-state, it's for the pool for a chance at the semifinals, and a lot of people there. It was a great atmosphere, and Andrew Healy. Can we talk about the performance he had? Like I didn't think he was going to be able to go more than 3 innings because Pollard's been playing him, protecting him pretty well as he's coming back from injury. But he was so efficient that he was able to. I think he only threw 59 pitches, but was able to get through 5 innings.
Yeah, good things happen when you throw strikes. I mean, he was a freshman All-American for a reason. And I mean, I know he's been dealing with injury, but for him to come back and give us the length and be as efficient and as dominant as he really was huge for us. Got us off on the right start and allowed our offense to kind of play catch up a little bit there too, because I know we didn't start off great, but I think that game is when Zach hit the home run. And
he hit the grand slam.
Healy really, gave us a big time performance, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, in this upcoming regional for us.
Yeah, that's been the really cool thing. The pitching, the balance of the team's so great because I think Sam Highfield ended up having a no-hitter into the 5th inning, and I think it was Chase Cruson that actually got the first hit, I think, initially. I know he did against Herrick Hernandez as well. But, yeah, it's amazing because it was 0-0. It was a really great game, first 4 innings, and then poor Sam Highfield, he completely you guys just got to him, and it was just quick. It was amazing how quickly that can happen against your guys' offense.
That's why we play 9 innings, right? Yep. It's always the 3rd time through the lineup, 4th time through the lineup where damage typically is done. So
yep, and you're able to shut down their offense. They ended up scoring 1 run in the 9th, just to avoid the shutout, but 8-1, very convincing win. So you guys win the pool. You had to go 2-0, or you had to at least beat NC State to win the pool. Well,
I mean, we had to go
you had to go 2-0. Sorry, because the lower seed, you had to go 2-0. So you get that done. You're getting into the quarterfinals, and then you've got a Miami team who's playing the best baseball of the season. Herrick Hernandez is facing you guys, and he had one good ACC start or one where he's a quality pitcher, but he tends to he tends to lose command at times, but his only start where he gave up less than 3 runs in ACC play was against you guys. I don't know if you realize that. And he was electric, and yet you guys persevered again there. And again, the final score doesn't quite do that game justice, but it was a very close game for most of it.
Yeah, another come from behind victory. I mean, that was a super close game. I think the thing I remember from that game is just the guys coming off the bench, the Jimmy Evans coming up in a big spot who hasn't had a lot of at-bats all year, and coming up in that sac fly when his number's called, and coming through for us and tying that game. And then obviously our captain, Alex Stone, comes through and hits the big home run. Really just a statement and kind of symbolic of how important he's been to Duke baseball in this program. And like I said, I think I've mentioned this earlier, but he's an incredible teammate, incredible human being, and he's so humble about it too. So to see him have that moment, to see him come through for us in such a big spot, we were all thrilled for him.
Yeah, the Jimmy Evans moment was so cool. He came into that with 11 plate appearances, and we all are looking at each other in the press box going, what? All right, so Pollard is just bringing in somebody to sack bunt, maybe? And he swings away, right? And he goes down 0-2, and we're starting to think Pollard's might have a mistake here. And with an 0-2 count, he puts it in play into left field, ties the game. Devin Obie's on third. He comes in to score. That ties the game.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
you can ask everyone on our team. I mean, I know he hasn't gotten the press or the amount of at-bats this year to really notice it. But if you go around and ask our team who has the best pure hit tool, a lot of people are going to say Jimmy Evans. That kid's a professional hitter. When he fills out his tax form, I think that's going to be his profession, just professional hitter. Really good back to ball, controls his zone, and can hit the ball to all fields.
And afterwards, Coach Pollard said that he and ET had talked about, and if they were in a position late where they needed somebody to put the ball in play, he's the best guy to put the ball in the play because he doesn't strike out. And that's just another example of us in the press box don't know baseball like the guy in the dugout, right? Another humbling example of that Chris Pollard is very good at what he does, in addition to being a great human being. But really cool moment. By the way, Jimmy Evans hits a single in his next at bat because he was still in the game.
Professional hitter.
He is now 6 for 12 on the season. That's a 500 batting average. So
yeah, it's better than what Ted Williams did in 1941.
Yeah, so I thought that was one of the coolest moments, and actually, kind of the underrated moment of that game because it's such a big spot with 2 strikes, down 2-1 in the 7th, and to tie that game. And the other interesting thing I really liked, somebody asked Devin about this post game, the feeling in the dugout when Chuck comes in. You guys are down 2-1, and Charlie comes in the top of the 7th, and Devin said that when he comes in, that's when the dugout just knew it was over at that point, that you guys were going to win that game. Is that a common thing? Because Charlie's not going to give up any more runs, most likely, and all you got to do is get a couple of runs.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck's incredible. I hope he wins, reliever, stopper of the year, in the NCAA. I think he's totally deserving of it. I don't think anyone else can go throw 3 innings and then come back the next day and keep throwing another 2 or 3 more. He has such a rubber arm, and he has big league stuff. Coach Pollard's talked about how he thinks he's going to pitch in, the big leagues probably in the next couple of years and get major league hitters out, and I believe him. I mean, he's so incredible, so valuable to us, arguably our MVP over the course of this season, just with the amount of big, innings he's given us, late in games and those, high octane, high leverage situations. So when he comes in, it's like Mariano Rivera coming in, the mid 2000s. You know that you can rely on him just getting 3 up, 3 down every single inning.
I've had a ton of fun watching him in the dugout and following his energy, making some memes. It's been a lot of fun because he just is a competitor and wants to be in there, and it's really fun to watch him just pacing to stay loose as well and all that. He talked about that, but I actually voted for him for my MVP of the tournament, but that was before Devin hit that 3rd home run that he had hit against late in the game, Florida State. So he would have been deserving as well. I think if he didn't pitch in all 4, he pitched in 3 of the 4 games.
Right. I don't think he pitched in was it the NC State game or no? Was it the yeah, I think it was the NC State game.
It was the NC State game. Yeah, I think with the big lead, you could save him a little bit. I know he's a unique situation because all the analytics show that he pitches better when he pitches often. So I think that was also part of a big reason why he pitched in a 16-4 game, and also because he was probably the most deserving guy to be at the bottom of that dog pile, right?
100%. We're a little bit scared. We didn't want him to get hurt there.
That too, yeah. That's always the thing with the dog piles. They're really fun, but you also got to be careful. I saw Santucci there a little bit on the outskirts, which was good.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to put him under there right now.
Right. So you guys come back and beat Miami, who was playing for their season, and they'd been playing their best baseball. They've got some talented kids. I mean, Cuvée hit the home run that put you guys behind initially. You saw him against Louisville too, right? I mean, what are your?
Yeah, I mean, that kid has incredible power for just a freshman, and
yeah,
to have the season that he did, I mean, he's going to be a fun guy to watch in the ACC for years to come. When he played against us, Coombs is such a big field. He probably flew out to the warning track 2 or 3 times and would have had 2 or 3 homers that looked like no doubters off the bat. That'll leave most stadiums, but I guess that's just the ghost of Jack Coombs, playing into our advantage. But when you get in a little bit of a smaller ballpark like Charlotte, that ball he hit was crushed, and to be able to go the opposite field like that, I mean, that takes a lot of power. And out of an 18, 19-year-old kid, it's really impressive.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about this tournament is you get to see all the stars out to play, and that's it. I went to all 15 games. I was covering all 15 games. I'm exhausted, but it's been a fun week. But it's just amazing to see all these different stars, and I had not had the chance to see Cuvée in person, and he did not disappoint. Miami has some good freshman pieces. I know they had a bad year, but they've got some good pieces there. But yeah, that was a special time. You ended up, I think, only ended up giving up 4 hits to Miami the entire game. Ryan Higgins came back and started that game, and after he struggled a bit against Virginia Tech, he bounced back and had a great start. Just a fantastic moment for that. So you guys clinch your spot in the final, the championship game. You were playing Florida State, who had looked incredible all week. And they took 2 of 3 from you guys in Durham for 2 games that I saw, but they were very close games. And you guys Cam Smith hits the home run, the bat flip to the moon. But that was pretty much the big highlight for them. I know Farrah had a home run a little bit later, but for them, it was really Cam Smith that moment because you guys responded very quickly. And 2 more grand slams. The big thing for me, Ben Miller getting out of his slump in a big way. That had to feel great for him, right?
Yeah, it's funny. If you talk to Ben, he'll tell you that what was going through his mind before he hit that grand slam, and he goes, "Man, I was just trying to hit the ball, just trying to make contact and please not strike out." And of course, he gets the home run. I mean, it's so telling. All ACC third baseman. He's had such an incredible year, but he'll be the first one to tell you that even in those situations, he's like, "Oh God, I got to get a hit right here, please." Like, I don't like watching my batting average on the scoreboard. Like, please take that off. But
yeah,
I mean, he's an incredible player. Had an incredible game. The grand slam, the other home run. He's gonna have that memory for the rest of his life. And he's not done yet. I mean, we got the regionals coming up, and he's been such an important part of this team, arguably our MVP just with the season he's had. And just one of my all-time favorite teammates. I think everyone will say that everyone will say that on our team. Just super funny, super humble, super down to earth, and keeps everyone loose, and is just also unbelievable at baseball.
Yeah, it was a really great moment to see him do that because I know he'd been slumping. I knew he was disappointed. And then in the post game, he said something like, "I just got to stop thinking up there because that's part of it." It was really great to see that, and I think it's really important to have gotten him going before heading into the regional. So really good to see that. There was an actual bigger moment in the game. I don't know if you know this. In the top of the 9th, Chad Knight gets into the game and hits a single back up the middle. What was that feeling like for you? Because for me, obviously, I had to stop myself from cheering in the press box before, or I would have been kicked out.
I mean, it was really cool just to step in the batter's box in a championship game. My baseball career is coming to an end pretty soon, but to have that opportunity and to get a hit, I mean, it's something I'm gonna remember the rest of my life. I've been playing this game for almost 20 years now, and anytime you get to play in a championship game is priceless, and you don't get that opportunity too often. So super grateful. And, I gave my parents a huge hug after that, and meant a lot to me. And to have all my teammates really supporting me there too means a lot. Love them all to death. And, we really are a team, but we're also a family. They know how much that meant to me, and I personally, to cap that off with the championship was just, incredible.
Yeah. Were you pinch hitting for a DH or?
Kyle.
That's right. That's what I thought, because you weren't on the field when the final pitch was thrown.
Nope.
Right.
Not a defensive player.
Right. That's what I thought. But I know you've gotten in there at third base a couple times, so that's why.
Yep.
So I couldn't remember, because I was, but like shortly after your hit, they moved us down to make sure we were able to get the shots of the celebration. So I was missing some of that. On my way down there. So, but then, Chuck comes out there in a 16-4 game. Not a surprise for us in the press box, because we'd heard it, the night before. We've heard it all week that he pitches better on shorter rest, and he's not going to be able to pitch until Friday. So, you want to make sure he gets in a live game before then. So he's out there. And of course, I think there's nobody more deserving for what he's done over the last 2 years. I mean, he made 39 appearances last year, which is absolutely insane. And then of course, what he's done this year. So really cool moment for him to get the final 3 outs. What's the feeling like as you jump out of the dugout and run towards them?
I mean, it's just ecstasy, it's one of those moments where everything kind of goes dark. The excitement takes over, and it's those moments where you only get a few of them. Maybe at best you get 2 or 3 of them a year. In a career, hopefully you get 1. I think I was talking with Zach. This was his first time ever dogpiling. I asked him if he had ever won a championship before, and he said, well, in like some travel ball tournaments when he was younger. But whether it was first time out of high school or college, getting to share that moment. And I guess I'm a little bit spoiled. I was lucky enough to play in the Little League World Series. We got to do a dog pile then. I won a couple state championships in high school and won our conference in high school. And then I've been a part of the ACC Championship team in 2021. So I had experienced some dog piles before, but for him, I know how special that was. And, hopefully I get to experience it 2 more times, 1 more regional, 1 more super regional, maybe in Omaha, who knows? Boys are playing really good baseball right now. I mean, even when Cam Smith hit that home run, I think we had a lot of confidence we were going to come back. A lot of guys were talking about how, I guess this will lead into our next segment too, talking about the regional, but playing at Coombs, which is such a big ballpark, you hit a lot of, long fly balls that go to the warning track, or you barrel a lot of balls that get caught and then they don't show up in the box score with the results you want. But when you go play on the road, sometimes in those smaller ballparks, those outs that, those balls that, guys hit that are typically outs turn into home runs, they turn into doubles, and they turn into damage. And I think that's why we scored 37 runs in 4 games. It was an incredible showing by our offense, and we're going to try and keep it up.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of that Coastal tournament at the beginning of the season when you guys were just launching balls out. And it must have felt really great. I had a blast watching that, but it was hard for me to figure out which ones were going to be gone, because I think they played a little bit less at night. So then I was thinking it was going out, and then it wasn't, because it was going out during the day. But yeah, it was a blast to see. And then I got to be on the field with media, taking pictures of you guys and all that. I got to see Aaron jump in there for the team photo very quickly, because apparently he didn't do that last year when you guys won your regional, because he was going to do it when you guys went to Omaha and didn't get his opportunity. So he got in there to be part of the team for that. But yeah, I got to congratulate you very briefly as you got your trophy and took a picture with the commissioner. It was just a really cool moment to see all you guys who a couple of you who I've talked to, and obviously Coach Pollard. It was just such a cool moment. And and obviously for content purposes, it's great, because now we spent 30 minutes talking about it now, but it was just a fantastic week, fantastic event. Charlotte's great. That was my first time being at that stadium. And Coach Pollard said before the week that he told you all to enjoy the moment and embrace it, and make sure you're focused on competing for a championship. And you guys didn't talk about the NCAA tournament at all. I feel like you guys embraced it and enjoyed the moment, right?
100%. I mean, when you're playing in the ACC tournament or your conference tournament, you're 0-0 and you're just playing for the opportunity to, be the top dog and be the top dog in the conference. I mean, ACC was super competitive this year. I think there were 7 or 8 teams over the course of the year that were in the top 25 at some point. I think the final week there were 7. So it's a super, super competitive league, but one of the best I've ever seen this year. And, just for us to finish on top, it means something. It's something to celebrate. Anytime you have the opportunity to compete for a championship, it's special. It's something you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And I think what's still cool about it is you win a championship, and I feel like in high school or in times in the past when, you win a championship, it's bittersweet, right? You're happy because you win, but then everything's over. I think the cool thing now is we get to play more baseball. We get to celebrate this, but then the silver, I guess, or the benefit rather, is that we get to keep on playing. We still get to compete and see how far we can go, and that's the best part.
And we got a really cool moment in the press conference afterwards because I got to ask him about you, and you saw some of that. I think you saw most of that clip. How important your and Alex Stone's leadership and experience from the 2021 series was, and he explained to us the origin of Stay on Black and how important you've been as a leader, even though you don't necessarily get to play as much at this point in your career. And what was that like to hear that? I know you saw the clip because you talked about how Wallace hit later. What did that mean to you to get to hear that?
Yeah, it means a whole lot. I mean, I think I told you he's kind of like a father figure to me, being here for 5 years, and really just the Duke baseball. I mean, the basketball team uses the term brotherhood to describe, I guess, their team, but I think that's really a term that applies across all Duke sports and definitely in Duke baseball too. When I was younger, I always used to look up to the older guys in the team. I remember the Chris Dutras, the Joey Loperfitos, the Mike Rothenbergs, the Bryce Jarvises, guys that were older than me that, had a little bit more experience, but I would always look up to. And, just from their leadership or from, their experience, there were always guys that, I really admired. And, now me being the fifth year, kind of being able to look down and, have Macon Winslow to my left and Kyle Johnson to my right and have Cruson, hitting a home run on the field. I think it's really, really cool. I mean, I grew up an only child, but having those teammates is kind of like having younger brothers to me. So it's really cool to get to know them and build a relationship with them and, I guess, share some experience I have and, help them in any capacity. So it's an incredible opportunity to be a part of the team. And like I said, Coach Pollard's been kind of been like a father figure to me. So I'm just super grateful that, as a family, we can all get to celebrate this together.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how, we've talked about the freshmen a couple of times, and just to know how much you guys interact and work with them. And obviously how good they are. It's really impressive. And I got to meet Chase today, briefly before interviewing, because he's been enjoying the content I've been doing. So he seems like a great kid, and it means a lot that he came up to me and said that he enjoys our stuff. So it's hard not to root for you guys. I know I'm supposed to try and be unbiased, but the more I get to I don't want to say no, because there's still that line, but the more I learn about you guys and interact with you guys, it's hard not to root for this team and for you guys as individuals, because there's so much cool stuff. And
we appreciate that.
Yeah. And even today, like, one of the cool things I saw, Penn, they get on the screen, and it took me a second because I was trying to tweet something, and I was like, who's cheering for Penn? And I was like, oh my gosh, Monty. Ben Miller's excited for his former teammates. That's going to be a really cool situation, because I know Penn's Friday night starter from last year is on Virginia as well. So those were the two big names that ended up transferring out, was Ben and Owen Cody. So it was just funny just seeing Ben excited for that. Another really cool moment is when Devin won the MVP award, and you guys were doing a chant for him.
Yep.
It was really cool. And then, even in press conferences, hearing Pollard. So it was Pollard, Chuck, and Devin sitting there, and Chuck's in the middle, and they're both the other guys are talking about how great Bielenson is, and he's blushing. It's really funny. He's got the big old smile on his face and feeling a little uncomfortable because he's getting all this praise. But it's really great to see this in college sports and get the personalities out there.
100%. I think that's the cool thing about college baseball. I mean, I guess I'm a college-aged kid, but before kids turn pro, when they're just college kids, I feel like they're really, really relatable, and they're all got interesting personalities. I mean, you're in a kind of an emerging adulthood phase of your life, so your personality's starting to develop, and there's a lot of really cool stories and a lot of good content that can be created from all of it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not, but the other thing I wanted to point out, the thing I love about college baseball is you guys know how to have fun, and you allow other teams to have fun in a certain way. Because Cam Smith's bat flip, I love bat flips, and he threw that about 20 feet in the air probably. You didn't hear anyone talking about hitting him or throwing at him or anything like that. Nobody seemed disrespectful. Like, it's just somebody having fun. And that's what I like about college, because at the MLB level, you're going to have a lot of that discourse as a result because it's disrespectful. But I think it's just guys having fun hitting a home run in a championship game.
Yeah, I mean, he also earned it. I mean, he hit a nuke to the opposite field. It could for everything, and I mean, he's an incredible player. So, I mean, we know if guys bat flip on our team that they're just having fun too. So.
Right.
Maybe it's just a generation. I don't know.
I think that it is the thing. It's a different generation, and you guys know that's part of having fun. It's not disrespectful. It's about having fun, and I think I appreciate that because it's really nice to see. Some fans don't always understand that, but I thought that was one of the cool moments early on. But anyway, we're going to move into talking about the hosting situation. Obviously, you guys get back yesterday after the game. You're celebrating, and at 8:30 we find out that Durham will not host. We're not sure why. There's speculation that the facilities, which by the way have been approved to be to host, may have been a factor. It could have also been the fact that you have two other teams that are hosting regionals within 20 miles with NC State and UNC, and then of course there's the whole argument of getting some teams out west with hosting pedigrees. So obviously, what was your reaction to that?
I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, we don't make the rules, we just follow them. But I mean, I think we're just excited to be playing in a regional. I mean, it would have been awesome to have a regional in Durham, and I think this team definitely deserves to. I think we have a pretty impressive resume. But at the end of the day, we're still competing for a championship, not to play at Coombs, but to play it in Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. And that's the only thing that matters for us. Yep. So we have an opportunity to go to Oklahoma. We're really excited about that. I mean, that's where Wallace Clark's from, lives out in Tulsa. So for him to get to go home, we're excited. We were joking about that today. But no, I mean, last year we went to Coastal. A couple years ago, they went to Athens. I think it's cool. We like going on the road. I think it's a cool part of the experience. I mean, I've played a lot of games at Coombs, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's like to play at another stadium. So I think that's something I'm really excited about. And like I said, I mean, most of the times when you win a championship, I mean, it's usually a signal that the season's over, but we get to keep on playing, and that's such a treat, and something that we're super, super excited about. I mean, we could have gone to Mars, and we would have been thrilled. So.
Yeah, it seems like, and again, we talked about it very briefly because the vibes were great when I came in there. There was nobody disappointed, and you can't control what you can't control, and you guys are just excited to get an opportunity to go out there and keep playing, especially when so many other teams don't get an opportunity. And it seemed like you guys were pretty excited to go out of state as well. So that's pretty cool. You get to experience. I think Zach said he doesn't know if he's been that far west in his interview today.
There were some guys that were like, I don't know if I've been on a plane for that long, and I don't know. Some of us thought that was pretty funny. I mean, we were joking, like, if we go to like UC Santa Barbara, I think Ben was saying, like, I don't know if I could sit on a plane for that long. I think I've only been as far as Texas, and I was like, it's another 2 hours. Like, what's the big deal? But we were cracking up about that. I think we're flying on Wednesday. I'm not sure. Our schedule hasn't been confirmed yet. But no, I mean, I don't think I've ever. No, I've played a Big 12 team before, but never played at Oklahoma. So I'm excited to go.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun. They're a good team. They're the number 9 seed. So they're matched up. If the team that advanced out of this regional is matched up with Florida State's regional, which will be interesting. Obviously, that's not something that anyone's looking ahead for because that's not how players. I mean, that's something fans can do because we're not going to be affected by our performances on the field if we're thinking ahead. I love when people try to say that as a fan. They'll be like, "Monty, you can't think ahead." I'm like, I'm not the one playing. I don't have to follow those rules. But you guys got to focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly acknowledge that they're on the other side of the bracket, but you got to get there first. Yep. So we got to take care of business in Norman, Oklahoma, and we'll see what happens after that. Again, that's something that's out of our control. So yep. I guess people can speculate. I guess we can speculate too if we want, but at the end of the day, if you don't go and win that regional, then it doesn't really matter. So
yeah, it's also the NCAA tournament, so there's no guarantee Florida State will be there. Crazy things happen there, so you never know.
Exactly.
It'll
be a good regional though. I mean, obviously Oklahoma's a really good team. Oral Roberts was in the College World Series last year, and Roman, Ryan Higgins, and myself were all kind of, smiling when we saw UConn was going to be in the regional too, and that was going to be our first game. Obviously, being from Connecticut, I guess that's a little sentimental.
Yeah.
I still root for the Huskies, when Duke's not playing basketball. So, I don't know. I'm excited to play.
Was there any thought about going to UConn out of high school to play baseball, or were you trying to, I know education played a major factor as well. I mean, Duke is a hard academic institution to turn down.
Yeah, I mean, I always grew up really rooting for the Huskies. I grew up rooting for UConn. I mean, my parents went to two schools that didn't really have, I guess, very prominent sports teams. So when Kemba Walker and the Huskies kind of took the nation by storm in 2011, I kind of fell in love with them. And then when Shabazz did in 2014, it was really fun to watch. And then the last 2 years, I mean, I know Duke hasn't done as well in the tournament as they've wanted to, but I feel like I still retain the right to root for the Huskies in the tournament.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I know one of your teammates, I'm not going to say who, from what I understand, is still a UNC football fan.
One of them is still a UNC everything but baseball fan, and I'm not.
I'm not going to say who either, but I love that story. But anyway, fun fact: one of my favorite sports memories involves UConn basketball as well. I was my mother went to George Mason, so we drove up to DC for the 2006 Elite Eight game where George Mason upset number 1 ranked UConn. So pretty cool moment that I got to share with my mother. So, who I didn't typically go to sporting events with. I normally went to sporting events with my father. So it was a really cool moment. My mom brings it up all the time still. She's like, "Oh, but nothing beats that, right?" I'm like, "Sure, Mom." I'm like, "Yes, Mom, nothing beats that." It was such a cool thing because you don't expect the number 11 seed to beat UConn, who had 4 first rounders on that team. So just really cool. Made me think of that when you mentioned that, because those 2 UConn teams that you just mentioned with Kemba Walker and Shabazz Napier were unbelievable tournament runs. So it's gonna be fun. One of our people went up to UConn this year when he was going to visit Boston College's ballparks. He was doing all 14 ACC ballparks, and he hit UConn while he was up there, and he loves UConn, and he's tempted to go to Norman, but he already promised Georgia Tech that he'd follow wherever they went, and they ended up getting Athens. So we do. Yeah, we will have our founder and like guy editor Noah Darling is going to go to Norman. He got so excited when y'all got that, because he's been on the Duke to Omaha train, I think, since like after Omaha finished last year. So he's like, I finally get to watch Duke because he's traveling from Omaha. So he's very excited about seeing you guys in person.
Awesome. Yeah, the other cool thing is that Duke softball's in their World Series too, and that's right. In City. So I think we're only about a half hour away. I don't know if we're gonna have the opportunity to go to their game, but if we do, I mean, that'd be really cool. It's been really, really cool. I think in 2021, Duke baseball and Duke softball both won the ACC, and then this year it happened again. Softball won a couple weeks ago. We won yesterday. Now they're in the World Series. So we're just trying to follow in their footsteps.
Yep. And obviously, I got to see Wallace Clark. I didn't even realize this till about halfway through the season. I got to see Wallace Clark last year because I was at the Charlottesville Regional. He was still playing shortstop at Oklahoma. He's a 2022 College World Series participant as well. Yep. He's been fantastic, by the way. I think he's a very underrated part of the lineup, at the bottom of the lineup. And it feels like he walks or gets hit by a pitch or scrapes out. He gets on base. Like, I know his average might not be, I think his average is near 300, but like he has to have a really high OBP, because I feel like whenever I see him, he's on base.
Yeah, Wally's an incredible player. I mean, first of all, he's a super smooth shortstop, one of the best in the nation for sure. I mean, every time you hit a ball to him, it's like when you put Charlie on the mound. The same way you can rely on Charlie to make outs, when the balls hit to Wally, you can rely on him to make the play, and that's a really, really calming feeling to know as a teammate, as a coach, as a player, as a pitcher. But yeah, Wally played in the College World Series finals a couple years ago. So we're just trying to get him back there. We're playing for Wally.
Yep. So yeah, just Wally. No, so I imagine he's extremely excited about it.
100%. I mean, I think he gets to go home. I'm sure he's gonna have some friends.
And I was gonna say a lot of friends and family are gonna be showing up, cheering him on. That's gonna be awesome to see. I'm going to be doing my best to try and watch in another press box, because unfortunately I will not be able to make the trip to Norman, Oklahoma, as much as I would like to. But I'm going to have my eyes on, as not just you guys, but as many ACC games as possible. But if I have to choose one other region to watch, it'll be your guys. Speaking of other regions, I'm going to pull up on the screen. These are the 8 regionals with ACC teams. You've got the 5 hosts, which are UNC, Clemson and Florida State. Those are top 8 national seeds. You have Virginia and NC State. They are 10 and 12 and hosting. And then we've got you guys and Wake Forest as 2 seeds. And then Georgia Tech squeaks in. Thankfully, we get that 8th ACC team. They're going to be staying in state and going to their rival, Georgia. The storylines are fantastic here. What was some of your initial reaction to some of these other regions?
Well, we know UNC is going to have a fun time playing the former national champions. So
I thought they got a
champion. So that's going to be a fun regional to keep your eye on. I mean, Tommy Tanks gets to make his way back to North Carolina, where I guess he started. I mean, a couple miles down the road, but in the same state, regardless. So that'll definitely be a fun regional to watch. I think the Clemson, Vandy, Coastal, High Point regional will be fun to watch too. You know, obviously Clemson had a great year this year. Vandy's such a storied program, and Coastal won a national championship less than 10 years ago, and they're still a really good program today. Got a bunch of really good players, and I mean, we played there last year. We played them to open the season. You know, they're a good ball club, so you can really see any of those teams winning. And then obviously, I think it's cool to have the 2 North Carolina teams playing against each other, the ECU and Wake Forest. I mean, Wake's obviously a great team. We took the series from them earlier this year, but you know, you and I both enjoyed watching them play the other night against UNC. They can compete with anyone, and obviously ECU is, you know, trying to get to the College World Series for the first time, so I know they're playing with a huge chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I'm curious. I don't know what Trey Savage's health situation is like, but I would probably commit some crimes. Just kidding. To see Savage and Burns pitch in a Saturday 1-0 start.
That would be headline television.
Oh yeah. So that's. I mean, I was surprised. Were you surprised about the LSU to UNC? It felt like they got a little punished for, even though they're a number 4 seed, because LSU seems like one of the most dangerous 2 seeds.
I mean, for sure, yeah. I mean, they won a national championship last year. They definitely got experienced players, and I know their coach, you know, Jay Johnson. Is it? I think it's Jay Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, obviously has experience too. So, but UNC is a good ball club. That's gonna be a fun one to watch for fans. And when we're not playing, we're going to be having a lot of fun watching all this college baseball. So
the squeeze play from ESPN's back, so they'll whip you around. But I'm going to be in Charlottesville. Mississippi State travels well. That's going to be interesting. I know they probably won't let the cowbells in, which is good because that might drive me insane. I already talked about Penn a little bit with UVA. They're one of their starting pitchers, typically the guy who starts on Sunday, Owen Cody. He was the Friday night starter for Penn last year, so it'll be interesting to see if they get matched up in the 12 o'clock game on Friday. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch all these games. An interesting observation. You don't necessarily need to comment on this, Chad, but I made the interesting observation, and I have my notifications off for people who don't follow me, so I didn't realize this went a little viral, not too viral, but just a little bit. I made the observation that all 5 ACC hosts are getting SEC number 2s.
Interesting.
And the 2 ACC number 2s did not get a number 1 ACC or SEC, which, I mean, you guys were, I think, high 2s, so that makes sense that you wouldn't get one of the top 4, but still, it's just interesting the SEC getting a little bit matched up with the ACC.
Florida's dangerous too. I forget what regional they're going to, but Florida's a 3 seed. It's tough. I mean, someone's going to get Jack Caglianone throwing 100 miles an hour at them.
Yeah, and that's, as a 3 seed, is absolutely bonkers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you were, so let's say you're not a player, you're a fan, and you're getting to pick any regional to go to, which one are you going to as a fan?
Oof, that's tough.
And if you can remember any of the regionals that don't include ACC.
In another life, I'd love to go to the jungle and be in the outfield with the ECU fans and watch them play Wake Forest. I think that'd be an electric matchup if those two get the chance to play, against each other. I think going to Knoxville would be really cool too. I mean, I was there a couple of years ago when we were in that regional and Drew Gilbert hit that walk-off home run against Wright State, and I think it went viral for his celebration.
Oh, yeah.
But we were in that regional too. We didn't end up playing them, but Knoxville is a really, really cool town, and I think a really cool, headline. And this is me kind of getting ahead of myself here too as a fan, But if Wake Forest wins their regional and Tennessee wins their regional, we're going to see Chase Burns versus his former team. And I think that's going to be really, really fun to watch if that happens.
Yeah, I think the NCAA set up a lot of really good storylines, and there's storylines that I don't even realize yet that are probably going to come out. And it's I just love this time of year because that's what makes college baseball so great. And this is what I try to tell people who are just watching MLB what they're missing out on, because it's a special sport and it's really fun to watch. So that's pretty much all we got for this show. It's actually been our longest show as of yet. So we're at about 50 minutes. But Chad, you got any final thoughts you want to share with everybody?
No, I'm just excited. I mean, I think it's an exciting time for college baseball. I mean, starting Friday, I believe. I think that's when the first game of regional starts. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to be a college baseball fan, and even more fun to be a player. So, elimination baseball is exciting baseball, but for the team to make it out of this, I mean, when we won our regional last year, just the excitement of going to a super and getting that chance to go to Omaha. I mean, there's nothing better, and I hope that the fans get to live vicariously through all of us.
Absolutely, and it's going to be fantastic. This is where I'm going to be getting a little bit of FOMO this weekend because I'll be in the press box in Charlottesville trying to watch as much as I can while also covering a live regional. That's where I get a little jealous of the people who have the 4 TV set up at home because I get to cover it and I get to be there in person, but I'm missing all the other ones. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you guys for sure. But it's really exciting, and I think it's going to be a great weekend for college baseball. And I wish you and the guys the best of luck. Go make the ACC look good.
We're going to do our best. Thank you, Monty.
All right, so we'll be back hopefully next week. Schedule pending for that because we don't know what the schedule is going to be. So we'll be back at some point, but not sure when. But we will see you next time. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.